Barak, Yahweh, Shalom, planet Earth. Welcome back to TRU-TALK. You know, the scripture tell us to pray and watch. This is what our Messiah commanded us to do, to pray and watch. You know, so we can understand what time we in. You know, he gave an example that just as when the season changes, then you see the things start to bloom or whatever the case may be, you know, that we in the season of spring, for example, because things start to grow and heat up. And you'll know you in spring because certain things will start happening. You'll start seeing bees come out. Flowers will start coming out. You'll start seeing pollen. Like I said before, it'll start warming up. He said, just as you can tell the seasons, when certain things start happening on this earth, you know what season you in. Now, once again, nobody knows the time nor the day. But he did say you would know the season, meaning you would know it's near. You would know that it's going to take place soon, but you just don't know what day, what hour, what month, so on, so on. And also, he laid out prophecy, things that must take place before certain things come to pass. I always tell people, when you see the Antichrist, then you should start worrying because you know it's at the door. Now, I know there's going to be a time from what the Most High showed me, well, everything is taking its time, but just in the blink of an eye, everything is going to speed up and everything going to start happening back to back. But nevertheless, one of the signs he told us to look for was, along with strange weather and earthquakes in different places, and people turning cold-hearted and friends turning against friends and nation being upon nation, he said there would be many wars and rumor wars. Now, I just looked this up. I went to Google, and you can do it yourself. I said civil wars that's going on in the world right now. And this is what it says. Major wars, dark red. So it's talking about this map, and the dark red would be where major wars are going on in the world right now. It says over 10,000 direct conflicts death in this current and previous year. So basically what it's saying, these conflicts led to over 10,000 deaths within itself. Wherever conflict or wherever the wars at, these are the death totally directly from the conflicts. It says there are currently 6 of these, double the amount from a year ago. So the wars doubled in 1 year. And it named a couple of wars, which are the Afghanistani conflict. I'm not too familiar with that one. The Yemen Civil War. Now I'm familiar with this one. Before Ukraine and Russia war started, Yemen Civil War was going on for a year before Russia and Ukraine started fighting, and nobody was talking about it. And I remember doing a post when everybody was talking about, all the news was talking about Russia and invading Ukraine and the war in Ukraine. And I made a post saying, Yemen been in the war for a year now. Where's the outcry in the news covered on that? And they call it a civil war. And basically, that's what Ukraine and Russia is, a civil war. They fighting in their own backyards, their own people fighting. Kind of funny when it's happening in Africa, even though they got two different cultures and they're two different people, or they may be the same people, but they got two different cultures, two different beliefs, but they in the backyard, in their agreement, they'll call it civil war. But when the Europeans have it, they don't like to call it that. They like to say, oh, the Africans are just fighting against the Africans. They're fighting against their own people. It's a civil war. Russia and Ukraine, are they not the same people? You actually got Ukrainians that speak Russian. They're next door to each other. You can literally say that's a civil war. Just their people fighting their people. But they don't want to put off that vibration of India or image. It's only when the African nations they make like, oh, these Africans just can't get along. They just fighting amongst themselves. But just notice the trick of words when they do that. Then we got the Mexican drug war, and that's been going on for a minute. There's actually a little war in Mexico on drug turf. Many people involved, many casualties, many people get kidnapped. Government never get the hold of it because they don't want to get the hold of it. Mexico is in bed with America to make dope. So, they allow for this to happen. It's funny how they talk about every other country, but their cousin Mexico. America never speak bad about their cousin Mexico and all the corruption that's going on in there. But they like to say something about Africa, But anyway, the my MERS international struggle, hadn't heard of that. Not familiar with that. Might have to look that up, see what that's all about. The Ethiopian Civil War. Now, this another war that took place a year, that was in progress a year before the Ukraine and Russia war, and got no news coverage. Still getting no news coverage. And then, of course, we got the famous Ukraine and Russia war that media like to throw down our throat and make like this the only conflict or war that's going on. Like I said, I heard about the Yemen Civil War and the Egyptian War. These wars started a year before Russia and Ukraine war. And I think a couple of news channels reported on it once. And then also, let's not forget about what's going on in the Congo and Somalia and those things where those people it's just sad. And nobody report these things. These things go under the radar. Now, this was interesting. Look at what it says here. The Daily News, it says, there are more than 40 active conflicts around the world at this moment. And it name a couple. And it's point out where the conflicts are and how long they've been going on. Now, also, I know about the conflict or the war, you know, certain things they don't call it a war, they just call it a conflict. I don't know what make something a conflict and not a war, but Israel, the state of Israel, is at war, or as they call it, conflict with the Palestinians. I think a month ago they showed that they were shooting missiles at each other, and they right in the backyard of each other. Because they don't call that a civil war, but whatever. But these things are not getting news. Like it may make the news on certain news channels, but that's it. You don't hear about it no more. But yes, right now, Israel and Pakistan, I mean, uh, their neighbor, are still going through it, still at war. And then the Sudan, the South Sudan, the war that's going on, the conflict that's going on in Sudan, nobody is talking about. You don't hear about it. Like I said earlier, though, the Congo, how they literally is, it's a damn shame to tell you the truth, is how they raping the land of the Congo, how these people are working their butt off, and these metals that's in the Congo are the materials and resources that power the phones. It's the reason why we got smartphones, and the reason they're able to make chips with these metals and gold and diamonds and all these resources that you can buy an iPhone, what, for, I don't even know how much them things cost, but it costs a lot of money to get a brand new smartphone. But these people in the Congo, the people that live here, is literally working their butt out for a little minimum wage. And it's the USA, it's the French, and those people that have control of the resources in those regions, and allowing for these people to work themselves to death. For people over here in the West can get themselves a new smartphone for $1,000 something, while these people barely make it, but laboring all day. And you get a chance, just look up what's going on in the Congo and the conflict and how these people being treated. And these are our brothers and sisters. These are Israelites. Yeah, you better believe it. These are Israelites in the Congo. Well, let me get this straightened out. Yeah, but this what's going on in the world today. We got all these conflicts and wars that's not being talked about. is not being brought to the light. If you're not in these areas, you would not know anything about it. And the only time they report on really any of these conflicts is when it evolved in. I remember when South Sudan or Sudan immigrants, because of the war, they was fleeing Sudan and they was going somewhere. I forgot what place they was going, but as refugees. And that's the only way it made news, was because these people was refugees escaping from the war in Sudan. So it made news because, hey, these people coming over here. We don't want these people come over here. Yeah, we understand they running from a war, but we don't want them over here. It amazes me how double standards these people are. It don't surprise me, but just how they treat one person that's a victim of a war over another person. And then they say it's not about skin color, then what it's about. Because it's always the people that look like me with the uh, woody hair that we get pushed back, and the people with light skin and hair like a horse is the one that get the green ticket to come and save ground, because your country is dealing with war and we want to help you be safe. But nevertheless, the next time you hear the news talk about Russia and Ukraine and what's going on with that, don't be too moved. Don't get caught up. Know that there's many conflicts that's going on that's not being reported about. There's many life and death being taken. And I remember having a conflict when I first started reading the scriptures, and it says that in the last days, it would be like the days of Noah, that people would be marrying and drinking and marry and giving into marriage and basically having a good time until the end comes unexpected. And that never made sense to me. I was like, wait a minute. At one hand, the scripture talk about these players that's gonna come on the earth and how we gonna be at war. And there's gonna be rumors of wars, and people ain't gonna be able to feed their family. It's gonna be a lot of violence, and friends gonna turn against friends, and people are gonna be easy offended, and all these things that scripture says is gonna take place. How is it people gonna have time to be married and jolly and giving into marriage? And I couldn't make sense of it. It seemed like a contradiction. But now that I'm living in this time, I see how. Look at all this conflict that's going on across the world. All these wars that they call them conflicts that we not hearing about, that most of us is not affected about. And we going on just partying, married, giving into marriage like it ain't nothing. I think it was 2 weeks ago, the, the killing that happened in Chicago. I mean, it ain't nothing new, but the number of people that died during that weekend, and they blinked the eye. They talked about it for 2 or 3 days about the violence, and you don't hear nothing about it no more. It's not just Chicago, it's everywhere. The kidnapping about in Cleveland, all the children that was going missing in Cleveland. One day you hear about it, the next day you don't. It's like if it don't affect you, it's not affecting you. And of course, everybody is offended. Friends turning on friends. But through all this, people find a way to have a good time, still go to the club, still married, giving in the marriage, still fornicating. You know, I seen something the other day where a woman was marrying herself. People was okay with it. It was like, oh, this self-love. It's like this world has really lost its morals compass. And a few of us that's at least try to be in right standing with the Most High. Uh, it's a burden. It can be unreal sometimes. Sometimes, you know, we can't rush the judgment, but sometimes you be like, Father, hurry up and come, because they gonna say, oh, Christ's been coming back for years. They've been saying that for years, and blah blah this and blah blah that. And you be like, Christ, show them. Most High, show them. Well, I can't wait, and I want to be witness. I don't know what the Most High got uh, in my future, but I'm claiming that it's good. And whatever He allowed for me to see and live to see, I'm grateful. I'm grateful even being here today. You know, I the truth be told, I shouldn't even be speaking to y'all today, but the Most High spared me to wake me up another day. But I just wanted to share this, family, that there's wars and conflicts going on all over the place. And we all know about hunger in different parts of the world. Shoot, I'm from USA. I grew up in the ghetto. I grew up hungry. I'm telling you, we went weeks without eating. You know what I mean? I can tell y'all some stories. You know, at times we ain't had nowhere to stay. We slept in the back of my mama's van, you know, and it's a struggle. You don't know what people going through. And we see the homeless people that's all over the street in California and different cities, how the homeless rate is high. And, you know, it's like we so numb to it. Like 20, 30 years, you didn't see that. But now we see all these tents just laying on the street. And it's like, oh yeah, that's just the way it is. But these are the times we living in, and according to the scriptures, it's gonna get much worse. Uh, but be thankful wherever you at in life. Just be thankful. Know that it could be much worse. Know that the Most High favor is on you, even though sometimes it don't look it. When you realize that you're not in, even though we, you know, like me, I'm in this land of my captivity, the USA. I hate this country, what it stands for. I hate the blood that's on his hand. I hate how they work their people to death. I hate how they promote gay marriages, and I hate how they call division against my people and how they so racist. I hate a lot of things about this country. Not only this country, but this world. But I gotta be thankful that the Most High allowed me to go to sleep safely and wake up. He allowed for me to eat. Even though some of the food that I eat, and I know they got poison in it. You know, it's no good. But that's when the scripture come in hand and say, you know, when you got the Holy Spirit, you can drink what's poison and it won't hurt you. You know, that's what I think what it was really talking about. You know, when we really need the power, we can tap in it. You know, the most I say, he'll be like a little sanctuary for us, no matter where we at. We scatter all over the earth. If we got his spirit and we keep his commandment and believe in him, he'll be like a little safe haven. We'll be like a little sanctuary. And sometimes we are just so ungrateful. We don't realize how much the Most High is doing for us, how much he providing for us, how much we got peace. You're not on the street. You're not homeless. Your house not full of drama. You're not miserable. Yeah, we all got issues and problems. But overall, aren't you favored by the Most High? Aren't you blessed? Let's not be ungrateful and be like our ancestors that came out of Egypt and complaining. No matter what the Most High seen to do for us, we never seem to appreciate it. We always just looked at what we don't have, what we didn't have, not knowing that the Most High was taking us through that to humble us. He actually said the Most High fed us manna to humble us, that He allowed for us to hunger and thirst so He could humble us. And we all should be humble and thankful. Next time, Shalom.